we're going to ask Malcolm to unveil this. I'm hoping the wind doesn't blow and destroy the blue tack. I think we're okay. And just to say, this is a replacement plaque for the one that's behind you. The beauty of this one is people will be able to see it from the pavement, but more important, the wording is up to date. So without anything further from me, Malcolm, would you like to come and unveil this plaque?
Thank you. Thank you. Well, ladies and Mr. Mayor, Madam Mayoress, ladies and gentlemen, when some 50 years ago the Harrogate Society, precursor of Harrogate Civic Society, decided it would like to have some historic plaques put up, they asked me to design and text the first one, which was unveiled by the Mayor, Mayor Heaton, in 1975 on the Chewit Well. That was 50 years ago, and since then there must be, I think, about over 90 plaques. That's correct, isn't it?
88. This will be 89.
89th plaque has been presented to the town, many of them by the Harrogate Civic Society. And as a member of the Civic Society myself, as well as a freeman of the borough, it gives me very great pleasure to open this new plaque which the Harrogate Club, for so long a central part to life in Harrogate, has commissioned to replace the old one. So I'm going to open it now and declare it unveiled.
Well, it was a blue tack. I was just going to remember the blue tack.
Yes, you go far side.
I'm going to show my importance by removing the piece of blue tack.
Ah, yes.
As well as to the town, its history, and indeed the storage of artefacts into the future that represent the history of the club. And to honour him, the committee voted to name this room the Malcolm Neesam Room, and I'd like to invite the Mayor to please unveil the plaque and change the name of this room for the future.
Thank you. We're absolutely delighted to be here this morning, the Mayoress and I, and we're honoured to be members this year, and we've thoroughly enjoyed the facilities here. I think it's great. We also fully appreciate everything that Malcolm's done, not only for the town, but for the club here. And when you read up on what's been achieved and what's been recorded, it's absolutely marvellous. So I'm delighted to unveil the plaque to alter the dining room to be the Malcolm Neesam Room. So I'll unveil and hope it comes down okay.
It certainly shows.
Oh, there we are.
The club itself has been deeply embedded in the life of Harrogate since it was originally established as a direct result of the important Act of Parliament of 1841, the Improvement Act, which set up Harrogate's first really significant local government, the Improvement Commissioners. And that, after 1841, resulted in a huge expansion of both the population of the town and the resulting urbanisation. And so the growth in the number of, particularly of professional people, all of whom at that time were men, it's a male-dominated society then, resulted in the understanding of the need for Harrogate's professional classes to meet somewhere in order to discuss current affairs, one of which was the great question of the railways. Should they be allowed to cross the Stray? Such an important matter for the townspeople, that it was decided to set up a club or an association, another aspect of which was to play snooker, billiards. And so they approached the owner of what became the County Hotel, and was at the time known as Gascoigne's Hotel, on Devonshire Place, where they hired a room, introduced billiards facilities, and established their club. One of the most important aspects of which was to provide reading material for the members. And of course that was at a time only about 15 years after the Harrogate Advertiser and its companion, the Harrogate Herald, had been established in the town to promote local news and inform local people about local affairs. So of course that was something that the club itself then subscribed to, and we know this because the club's archives have survived intact. And looking through the membership records, many of those early members were either improvement commissioners, who were a precursor of the present council, or local business people. One example was Samson Fox, who became mayor of the town and had a huge impact on improvements and development to the whole community. Well, the club really thrived after its establishment in that building in 1857, but by the 1880s it was found that so many professional people were wanting to join that new custom-built headquarters were required. So the town's eminent architects, the Bound brothers, who built Queen Victoria's monument, among others, and who loved curves, those windows reflect that love. You think of Royal Crescent as you go along Leeds Road with its curve. That's the Bound brothers. And many of the very handsome houses in, for instance, Queen's Road have similar curved windows to this on a smaller scale. Again, the work of the Bound brothers. And they were members of the club, as were many other architects, solicitors, well, one of which was Samuel Powell. He had the first house in Victoria Avenue, that one just across the road, currently empty and for sale, Craven Lodge. And he was the solicitor that steered the Improvement Act through Parliament and worked with the local people to establish that new form of local government. And he was a founder member of the club too. So you see how deeply embedded those early members were in the life of the town. And that's something that has carried on throughout the club's history to the present. And most notable in the Great War, when the club opened its doors to service people particularly from the Navy and the Army. The membership records again reflect this membership, and there were also country members who were recommended to come in from further afield to enjoy the facilities of the club. And today, when I have sometimes done guides to the club, a lot of people say, well, what does a club actually do? Well, actually the club does nothing. It's the members who do it. This is why there is no officially established club stamp club, for instance, or book club. The members themselves start these things if they're interested. And there is at the moment, indeed, an active book club. And thanks to Dr. Colin Wormold, the snooker is thriving with a growing membership, I believe, Colin, which is very, very satisfying. I have always valued, above all else, the fellowship that is shown to members, not just to me. And my God, there could be no better example than that wonderful plaque, which I do not deserve, I assure you. It touches me very much, touches me to the heart that the club has done this wonderful gesture. But the fellowship that members show to one another, and indeed to welcoming in new members without any difficulty. People meld and join the club membership so easily. One of the nicest things that the club has done is to ensure that every mayor is a member of the club when they take up their role of office. And that too emphasises the role of the civic life within that of the club and the welcoming attitude that the club has. The other aspect that I took a great interest in myself was its association with the West Yorkshire Regiment, whose museum curator in York has lent many of the artefacts available for display in the club, as has Harrogate Borough Council. These busts, for example, it wasn't possible to display them in the new council offices, so the council very generously, through the museums department, donated them for a display in the club. And again, it's possible when we're showing people around to tell them of the role of the club in the civic life of the town. George Dawson, Richard Ellis, the great builders who built Victoria Avenue that we can see outside, men like that, Robert Ackrow, who founded the Harrogate Advertiser, he was a member too. So once again, this participation of civic life in the life of the club. When I joined the club, more years ago than I care to remember, it was male only. And my goodness, the conversation could be terrible. It has improved immeasurably since female members joined. And I remember the first female member, I'm ashamed to say I've forgotten her surname, a lady called Cathy. She owned what is now the Cafe Marconi and other buildings in Princess Square. And she was a very determined lady, and she basically said, well, why can't I join? And somebody in the committee said, well, why shouldn't she? And from there, we have all our present ladies in the club. And my goodness, the conversation quality has risen immeasurably since that time. So, Club Presidents, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to say something of my own personal thoughts about the club and its role in the town. It will continue to thrive, and its greatest challenge is going to be to ensure that there is a continuous joining by younger members whose views may be very contrary to the established membership, but they do represent the future, and their views will triumph in the end, which has always been the case with the club. Although the committee no longer has meetings to sample and discuss the quality of the various whiskies that were on display in the bar, it does discuss many other things to do with the future of the club and the welfare of its members. So it's a great honour for me to remain a member, and I can only say in ending that I wish the club every success for its future. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Relatives here and some friends here, and had lunch here a few times. I've even had a game of snooker, which I managed to win, thankfully. That was good. But in terms of the club itself, it's, as Malcolm says, it's an institution. It's great, and I hope that things continue in a successful way. I thoroughly would like to say that I will be renewing my membership next year and come as a private individual, as it were. But other things that are important, again, Malcolm mentioned the council offices. With the new council offices, of course, there isn't a mayor's parlour, which you probably don't know, and a lot of the silverware and artefacts that were kept there are now kept here, which is great. So some of the silverware upstairs and the various busts are here, which we're grateful to know about. I was interested to read a little bit about the history of the club, and I noticed Titus Salt was a member in earlier days, and of course it goes back to 1886, I think, this building, as Malcolm mentioned there. There's some interesting little facts that I've also learned about the club. One of them being the reciprocal arrangement of the clubs worldwide. I'm not quite sure whether everybody is aware of that, but being a member of the club, you can visit other important establishments throughout the country and worldwide, I believe, and I believe you get special discounts. Is that right? That's good. But nice to see an interesting range of events as well being held here at the club, and I'm pleased to see one of the recent ones is the support for Ukraine, which of course is something that's affecting us all at the moment, and great to see the flag flying outside. So I wish the club every success in fundraising or helping whatever can be done locally to assist refugees. I think another really important thing about the club is the meeting facilities. I've noticed once or twice in the lounge upstairs that various small companies have meetings in there, which is very useful because a lot of small businesses these days probably don't have that facility. So it's nice that here there is such good facility in that respect. I see there's a beer and music street food festival coming up, which is an interesting one. All very interesting meetings to come along. And I believe there's over 200 members. That's which is really good, and long may that continue. So I think that's all I'd like to say, is that I do wish the club every success and emphasise its importance to the town. It's certainly second to none, and it's brilliant, and I hope the membership continues to rise. Thank you very much. Thank you.